All right, let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey.
That was
What's
so
up?
in sync.
I know, those sounded
was
so
really
great.
good. Good for us.
I love us.
I love that. And that's a good way to start the season, man. Welcome back. It's the Luck We Had. It's a Shameless recap podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Amanda.
I am Evan. I'm one of your other hosts.
And I'm Lena. I'm your third host.
Look at us. And we're back for season 4 of
We
Shameless.
are here. The only
Fucking
season we've
finally.
been talking about since season 1.
Well, it's just so good.
I feel like if we go back, the only 2 seasons that I feel like we have a high talk about count is season 4 and season 7?
Maybe season 7. Maybe season 5.
I think season 4, season 5 are like,
Season 5 hits. It ends poorly.
Season 6 also hits, unpopular opinion.
Still excited that we're 2 seasons away from me watching episodes I've never seen before.
I know.
That's crazy! Wait, so you haven't seen season 6?
No.
Except for Mickey's episode? Okay,
Except
season
for that
6,
one scene that Mickey's in, I haven't seen anything.
like
from season
everybody
6.
else's storylines kind of hit, not gonna
They
lie.
kind of are interesting.
They do kind of fuck. Yeah.
I haven't seen season 6. I've the only scenes from season 7 I've seen are the Mickey scenes. I've seen 0% of season 8, and I've seen the Mickey episode.
Oh,
from
season 8
9.
was
Season eight's
so
so
boring. I
boring.
literally was like,
Who is Ian's love interest in that one? Is that
Caleb?
kind of Trevor, but not really, because they're kind of like in a friends with benefits situation, because like
oh
they're
yeah, this
still
is
hooking
after
up, but
Ian goes on his little bender.
yeah,
with
since
Mickey.
Ian came back and he was like, I cheated. Trevor is like, okay, I am not gonna.
So it's that we're getting into the season that unlocks all of the things.
The start of it all.
So yeah, and when we do eventually get to the episodes I've never seen, but like I'm on Stan Twitter. I know like what happens and stuff. When we do eventually start bashing Trevor, we're gonna bash Trevor because he's a bad person. People that
We
bash
Trevor because he sucks, not because he's trans.
He doesn't suck as hard as other people, but he does. He sucks
But
a little.
he has shameless character disease. It's that they're super duper cool for the first season that you know them, and then when the shameless writers get boring of them, they turn him into an asshole and then write him off.
Well, because, like, I feel like Trevor's whole purpose was to teach Ian how to be a better gay guy. And then it was like, okay, after that, I do feel like in real time, like, when you really think about how it was then, people were so pissy with the shameless writers and the producers and, like, anybody in charge. They were so, like, on the internet, constantly, where's Mickey, where's Mickey, where's Mickey? And eventually I feel like they were just like, oh my god, here, like, we were trying to do something cool with this story, but like, fuck you don't want to hear about it. And it's like,
We
Yeah.
very truly did annoy the shit out of them until they gave us what we wanted.
but then now we're like bashing their writing decisions when we don't know how it would have been had people not been demanding Mickey to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even the stuff that they were writing, like the bits that I've seen, it like you could tell Cameron wasn't having a good time.
Oh, he was like, I'm into it for season 6. Like, he was like, get into it. Like, he had some really great performances in season 6, a lot to play with, because it was like really just like Ian on his own, kind of growing up. But then
he got so bored he literally left.
then it got to season 7 and he was like, okay, guys, I'm a little fed up with this one. And then season 8 and he was like, oh, Ian going through another manic episode. Wow. And then season 9, he was
And then
like,
season 9, he was like, take me to jail.
I'm out of here.
I honestly believe if Emmy hadn't also left, they would have just let Ian stay gone because he was like, and I'm out.
Because also that's like because then also like it closes the door for people to kind of criticize like choices they make with Ian and Mickey, because it's like they end up together. End of story. You can imagine what happens after that. Like, sure, maybe they get married, maybe they have a kid, whatever. But like, because they brought them back, they opened themselves up to that criticism of like, you didn't do a good enough job with them, like blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, can't please everybody, but it certainly is not very hard to please everybody either.
It's really not. Like, we made our intentions so clear. Just treat Mickey with respect and show them as a good couple. And, like, the bar was on the floor.
You can have an interesting narrative without sacrificing other parts of a character.
And that much is proven in this season. Because this season
So
is
true.
God tier.
It's
It's
too
too good. I own it on DVD. It's the only season of Shameless I have on DVD. I'm like in the market for the other ones, but it's the only one I have because it's just like I found it at the thrift store and I was like, I have to have it.
I own seasons 1 through 5, and season
I don't own
10.
any physical Shameless, but I do have every season of Glee plus the concert movie on DVD.
I'm still working on my Workaholics collection. I'm missing 3 seasons.
I have a couple I have season 1 and 2 of Stranger Things. I have the full box set of those. They're like cool limited edition like VHS ones from Target. They're super cool.
I have all but season 15 of Supernatural because I bought the rest of it secondhand and I refused to give the CW $40 for the 15th season.
Dude, when the box sets would sell for $40, fuck out of here. I'd buy them from Blockbuster for like $10.
On Facebook Marketplace, somebody was selling season 11 of Shameless for $15, and I was like,
gimme.
That is so funny. It flopped. I was like, that is so funny because those DVDs retail for what, like 30?
I think so.
Yeah, and it just came out like 3 months ago.
Nope, they were selling it for $15 fucking dollars.
I'm surprised that the DVD came out that fucking fast too. Normally I feel like it takes them a whole ass year to get things on DVD.
But let's get into the season that we can all agree is just fucking incredible.
The only season.
We're here to talk about season 4 of Shameless, specifically season 4, episode 1, Simple Pleasures. This was 2014, so I had just graduated high school. I was starting college, or it was in my second semester of college.
I was in 6th grade. I was 13 years old.
No, you weren't. You would have been in 7th grade.
No, yeah, I would have been. No, you're right.
Because I started high school in 2016.
No, this was the January before I went to Playlist Live. It was the. Oh my god.
We were at the same Playlist Live convention. We just didn't see each other.
Yeah.
We didn't talk to each other. But yeah, we were at the same Playlist Live. Can you believe that?
I was a second semester freshman bugging my roommate every Sunday night by hunkering down and obsessing over this show. Thank God I had known my roommate for like 10 years before we moved in together in college because I was the worst whenever Shameless started airing.
I'm also the worst, but luckily my roommates both watch it, so. And now that it's over, it's like, it's fine.
But this aired January 12th, 2014, the new year, new season.
Winter.
And I feel like he loves doing the pilot or the season premiere episode of the seasons. Written by John Wells, directed by John Wells.
Double whammy.
Well, because he's like, we gotta start him off on the track.
John Wells derogatory. And the synopsis of this episode: as we catch up with the Gallagher clan, life at home is thrown into a state of upheaval with the reappearance of Frank. With Lip off at college and Ian still missing, Fiona attempts to connect with Debbie and Carl. There was no previously on this episode. It just jumped right in.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, like, I feel like early seasons, they had more of, like, a clip show to give you the back on, but then towards the end of, like, the season, the lighter half of the seasons, a lot of the time it's, like, there's a previously on, and then they give you the whole clip show of what happened last season.
Yeah, but, like, nobody was like, hey, this is what you missed last season. It just started. It just right away started. I guess they didn't have time.
With the previously on? There was too much to pack into this episode. They couldn't have a 30-second clip of someone going, here's what you missed last week or here's what you missed last year.
Yeah, you don't remember what happened last year, you little bitch.
The season 5 opener where Mickey's like, I came
and then
out.
he's like, and then Ian's like, he came out.
Oh God. Oh my God, Emily. We're only 10 short episodes away from Emily. Oh my God. Okay.
No! I can't do it. Guys, I'm quitting. I'm quitting the podcast.
We haven't even started episode 1.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do episode 1. So previously in the on last season, Lip graduated from high school. He broke up with Mandy and she applied to colleges for him. Veronica's mom is pregnant because she slept with Kev. Debbie is in a hurry to grow up. Ian and Mickey broke up because Mickey is married and Ian ran off to the army. Jimmy is missing. We're pretty sure Estefania's dad killed him. Fiona has a job and hooked up with her boss. Frank's liver is failing and he's gonna die, and he wandered off into the street by himself.
And that's what you missed on Glee.
The way that I also almost said that, like,
Our minds.
the fucking worms, Ryan Murphy, pay my medical bills. Okay.
No, go ahead, actually. But I will tell you ahead of time. I do know the song that's playing in this titles in the beginning sequence.
Oh, what's the song that's playing?
It's called Written Down. It's by David E. Sugar. It's pretty good. It's on Spotify.
David E. Pumpkins.
David E. Pumpkins.
That's his brother.
Okay, so we open on Fiona. She's in the bathroom. She's brushing her teeth, doing her hair, getting ready for the day. And Debbie, who I guess Emma hit a bit of a growth spurt between seasons 3 and 4, she's also fighting for mirror time with Fiona. So they're like kind of pushing and pulling at each other, they're both doing their makeup, they're both doing their hair. So like Debbie is like, hello, I'm a teenager now, all of a sudden, even though she was literally 10 last time we saw her.
Literally.
Remember, writer by writer, it doesn't fucking matter how old they are.
Also, it must have been so hard because the kids grew up so much. It was like, fuck, what do we do?
Because they also...
That's the problem with working with younger kids.
What time frame is this for them? Is it like still like early winter time?
Still the same winter. It's I mean, okay, Amanda thinks that it's like a week later.
No,
I think
it
it's
literally is a week
month.
later. Debbie says it's only been a week.
But I thought she said it was a week since Ian last texted.
No, it's been a week since they've seen him. I'll get to that. But it's been a week since they've seen him.
So it's literally been a week since the events of the previous season, and now they're like old as shit.
Yeah, they're really grown up.
We get like a speed run, like it's a sped up of Debbie and Fiona both like getting dressed, taking off the clothes that they were wearing, putting on another outfit, and like blah blah blah. Look, Debbie and Fiona parallel to each other. So Debbie is growing up. Fiona goes to wake up Carl and asks if he has any like Chicago Bears like clothes or shirts that she can wear because she's going to a Chicago Bears game. Dub Bears. And
Dub Bears.
She says, hey, Carl, don't get too comfy up there on the bunk bed. Ian will want his bed back. That's not Ian's bed.
Yeah.
First of all.
Well, because when Lip moved in, I guess they were like, oh, Ian will just move up to Lip's bed. But then it never happened. So I don't know why.
Yeah. She says Ian will want his bed back when he comes home, like she expects him to come home.
Yeah.
And then she tells Carl, please stop peeing off the balcony. So, of course, Carl pees off of the balcony.
My favorite part, though, is when she asks him for the jerseys. He's like, no, but I have this one thing. He's like, but it has a bunch of blood on it or something like that.
He says he has a Fuck Jay Cutler shirt.
Yeah.
But it's got some blood on it. And she's like, I'm
good.
And then he's wearing it later.
Yeah, he is. He comes inside and he's like, hey, can I have Lip's room? And Fiona's like, no, because Lip will come home for college on summer and holidays, so Lip will need his room back. Again, let's get to the time in a minute, but so Lip's away at college right now. Debbie is dressed up like mildly provocatively for a 12-year-old going to hang out with a friend on a Sunday. And Fiona's like, hey, what the fuck are you wearing? But Debbie is a little bitchy teenager about it and doesn't change.
Oh my god, she gets so bitchy this season. She's like, when will you stop bugging me? And it's like, oh my god, like, what is your problem?
Sheila lets herself in, because I guess she's been hanging out at the Gallagher's place a lot. She just comes in the
I
back
love her.
door.
She just comes. She's like, I'm ready to clean.
But she brought dip for Fiona to bring to the Bears game with her, because she's going to tailgate. And so she brought like a thing of dip with her. And Carl asks, why is she here again? And Fiona goes, I don't care. Our laundry's clean.
So true.
Like, yeah, appreciate having her around. She's a friendly, free maid that's a little bit lonely. It's great. And so Debbie asks, has Ian called yet today? And she says, it's been a week. So it's been 1 week since the events of last season. It has been 1 week since Ian left for basic.
Like a week? No! And the fact that it's a week and then Lip's also at college.
But to me, that verbiage suggests that it's been a week since the last time he called.
The way it reads to me is that it's been a week since they've seen him.
And maybe it was, maybe it was purposely ambiguous like that, but it's like, it feels like she means, I don't know.
Because it's still winter, so... But also, Lip has started school.
But it was just kind of like the start of winter. But it was Christmas break last time. So what, they only got a week off? Oh, that's kind of valid, actually.
Because if it's still winter in Chicago and now Lip is at school, it has either been 1 week or it's been a full year and now Lip is in his winter semester of college. It has either been a week or a year.
He didn't take a gap or anything. He just went straight to college for the new semester.
I know. So it's either been a week or a year.
It's been a week, but it's like, I feel like it would have been like 2 weeks since they got Christmas break off.
Yeah.
And now school's starting again.
Like, how did he get in, realize he got a full ride, enroll, and start winter semester his freshman year?
Oh, this is so confusing. I knew it was going to be like this.
Because he got into MIT, but he doesn't go to MIT.
He got into MIT on a full ride, but he didn't go to MIT because it's too far and he needs to be around to help out. So he goes to Chicago Polytechnic, but we never see, which is a fake university, but we never see him get the acceptance letter back for that school.
Yeah, and she doesn't even mention that she applied to that school for him. She only mentions all, like, the big boys.
Yeah, so we just assume that he got the letter back and enrolled and started in this 1 week time period. Like, it's just like...
But then that would have to mean that he got accepted on Mandy's bullshit fucking application. So did he have to go through the whole process of writing and vouching for himself as well?
I don't know.
There's many, like, weird, like, flip-flops, because I'm like, realistically, Mandy would have not been able to get him into any school with those fucking forged essays, so he was able to get a full ride through them as well, move in dorm, and already be riding and going through classes and shit.
Yeah, I just want to choose to believe. I know this isn't how it reads, but I just want to choose to believe that it's actually been a month, and what Debbie means is that it's been a week since Ian last called.
I like that you believe that much.
I feel like that's a little more believable that it's been a month instead, because then it's like, oh, okay, it's been a month.
John Wells himself fucked this up. Like, come on.
Didn't he write the finale too? Who wrote the finale?
Not John.
Wasn't it Eaton Frankel?
Wait, hold on, let me check.
Dude, these writers do not talk to each other. This is like a game of telephone.
They literally don't.
And, like, Debbie and Carl have aged 2 years since the end of season 3.
But yet they're still in the same year, and they're all still in the same grade.
But that's not their fault, because it's like...
But they could have just, within the show, said more time had passed, and they chose not to do that.
But then, if more time had passed, then the events of, like, the season wouldn't make sense. Like, it would be like, oh my god, Ian's been gone for 2 years, and we still give a shit. Like, I feel like they would just been like, forgot about his ass. Oh, Lip's already 2 years into college. Like, you know.
And again, like, now Carl is
Fiona's
12.
been working at this cup job and dating the boss for 2 years, which would make her betrayal even worse.
And now Carl is 12 and Debbie is 13, but Ian's still 17.
I know, that's the worst part. He's 17 for like 3 seasons. It's the worst part. That's the worst thing.
Okay, all right. So... time isn't real. It doesn't exist on this show, and it never has.
Maybe because I watched so much Shameless, I never realized how old I actually am. I'm in that Shameless time. I've been 17 for 4 years.
So true.
So Fiona says, like, she hasn't heard from Ian, but he's 17, so she trusts him. And she's like, what? What if I go missing tomorrow? Are you gonna give a shit? Or what the fuck is happening here? I agree, Debbie, because, like, literally, what the fuck? You're 17.
She was kind of right about that one. Yeah, she was kind of right about that one, where she's like, well, if I went missing tomorrow, would you say anything? And Fiona was just like, Your 17-year-old brother, who you are legally responsible for, is missing, and you don't know where he is, and you're just chill with it. And he's like, and you know that he's like a sensitive little guy. Like,
he's like, no one's looking for me.
And last time you saw him, he was acting super weird. Like, over at Kevin V's house, Kev is bitching about paying for pregnancy doctor's appointments and, like, pregnancy clothes and stuff for Carol because she's going to, like, expensive stores. And he's like, fuck you, go to a thrift store. And Fiona comes over. She's like, hey, Kev, can I borrow a Bearish jersey? Kev's like, I don't know. Do you mean borrow as in I will get it back? Or do you mean borrow as in I will never see it again? And she's like, can I just borrow a fucking jersey, please?
No, she's like, you'll get it back, I swear.
And so Kev gives Carol money. He's like, shop at Goodwill. Be thriftier. I'm not spending all this money on fucking paternity clothes for you. Or maternity clothes for you.
And then she, like, takes more money out of his hands, too.
She does.
Doesn't he hide his money in a hollowed out Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently Carol doesn't have health insurance through her work. And they didn't know that. And Kev is pissed about it.
She owns her own salon. that's what her work is.
Yeah, but she doesn't have
But
health
yeah,
insurance,
I mean, you would
apparently.
think she has health insurance, but I guess since it's not really like corporate, like then she would have to provide health insurance for like her whole staff.
Yeah.
Which she might not be able to afford. I don't know.
And Fiona, we've established, is now dating Mike. She went from hooking up with him once at the barbecue camping trip to now they are dating. Jimmy's been gone, I guess, for a week. And Fiona and Mike are now dating.
Like, what?
Yeah, but they haven't slept together yet, because apparently it's been like a really long time, and it's weird that they haven't slept together yet, except it's only been a week. So like, what?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, I'm choosing to believe that's a month. I'm choosing to believe it's been a month.
And Kev's like, wait, you haven't slept together yet? First date Fiona, the girl who puts out waiting in line at the Wendy's drive-thru? To which Fiona asks, who told you that? Ronnie Finnegan? And Kev says, Ben Troutman. Jesus Christ, have you done that more than once?
I love Kev so much.
They're like brother and sister, like
Oh,
legit brother and sister, not like weird mommy son, how like she is with the other kids. They're like legit like brother and sister.
Yeah, they are. It's so cute. And Fiona's like, I'm going slow because he's my boss, and it's like a weird dynamic that we have. I'm like, yeah, a solution to that is also just not dating your boss, but
he's kind of cute though.
Yeah, no, he's kind of cute.
he's kind of cute though.
I'll say it. I'll throw it out there. He's kind of cute.
They did have some good ass chemistry last season. Like,
yes.
she says there's been no word from Jimmy or Frank, because Frank has also now been missing for, I guess, about a week. And Kev's like, Frank will be back. Frank is a cockroach. Frank will never die. He'll be back.
That's so true, though.
And then speaking of that little insect, we join Tony the cop, because who else, and a bunch of his cop buddies raiding a crack house, where he finds, among other people, Frank asleep on the floor, still in the hospital gown.
I feel like that's like the last time before season 6 that we see Tony.
I think so.
It might be, yeah.
It is the last time, because the only other time I can think of that cops really get involved is like
Emily,
but that's not Tony.
Oh no, don't we see him? We see him like once more this season when he's coming out of the house, and Fiona like was like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "It's when he has the house from Jimmy." Remember?
I thought that was like a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, that was the first time Jimmy disappeared.
No, the next time we see him is he goes to drop
The Sheila and Liv.
the house, and Carl and Sheila are there, and that's this episode.
Yeah.
And then we just like don't see him again.
But yeah, Tony the cop, because the only cop in Chicago, and his other cop buddies, raiding a crack house. They find Frank asleep on the floor. Frank is still in the hospital gown that he was in when he walked out at the end of season 3. And then we take a brief step over to the Milkovich house, where Debbie, wearing heels outside in the winter time, is coming over with Liam to visit Mandy. And Mandy says, she asks, like, have you heard from Ian? And Mandy's like, no, sorry, I haven't heard from Ian. And Debbie's like, do you want to know how Lip's doing? She's like, I know you want to. You're just not going to ask. So do you want to know?
I hate her. Like, of course she does, but she's not asking.
And again, Lip's somehow in college. You know what? Time doesn't matter. Time isn't real. And
we went over this.
And inside, Mickey is yelling at his cousins for not swiping anything good from the mailboxes they're raiding, and he has like an enormous knife that he's just waving around. And he also hates how little money a very pregnant Svetlana, again.
In a matter of, that's why I always thought it was like a couple months. Because he's like, Svetlana is like pregnant as shit. Like,
Svetlana is very pregnant now, even though it's allegedly only been a couple of weeks since the wedding.
Well, and she has baby like a couple episodes later.
Carol is canonically like 16 maybe weeks pregnant and not even showing yet. And then we find out later in this episode that another person gets pregnant, and they all have their babies this season. So like literally what?
And like within like
episodes of each other.
Episodes of each other.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like Carol and then Svetlana and then Veronica.
Yeah. Svetlana is pregnant for a long time.
She's pregnant for a really... They made it convenient because they needed Ian to be back before she could pop.
But it's also like, maybe Svetlana got pregnant. Maybe Svetlana was pregnant before her encounter with Mickey.
Oh, yeah. I've never actually believed that Yevgeny is Mickey's. We'll discuss it.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah. I don't know what I believe.
We will drive ourselves mad, and we will never have an answer. Also, I want to point out the scene. I love this part because he's like, fucking one of his cousins steal like a card, and he's like, what, you're gonna go back to steal the fucking pin? And then he does like that face when he's like
yeah, He's like,
You keep robbing the same mailboxes? Yeah, you're gonna keep robbing the same mailboxes until they send the pin.
And then he like does like such a look, and I love it so much.
this was the beginning of us knowing that Mickey was going to have a little bit of an independent storyline this season because Noel Fisher is now a main cast member.
Yes, my boyfriend.
And so yeah, Mandy says Debbie came over. She was asking about Ian, and Mickey's like, "Oh yeah, you heard of him?" She's like, "Why do you care?" Goes, "Don't,
Liar!
bitches."
Her face, though, she's like, bitch.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you do.
And Mandy is also in very much her like beaten down dog, make myself smaller like mode right now. Like, you know how Mandy sometimes is like fierce and wild, and sometimes she's like tiny little bird that will get crushed. That's the mode she's in right now.
Well, also because I think Kenyatta's home.
Yeah. And then we go over to Lip, who's in college. Again, time isn't real. He walks into his room from his classes, and we meet his roommate Ron and Ron's girlfriend Amanda.
Love her. She was in Until Dawn.
She was in Superstore.
Yeah, how I was watching this season with my mom, and she was like, oh, I love her! Because my mom loves Superstore.
She's great on Superstore. Ron seems like a nice, okay guy, and Amanda seems bossy.
Like a bitch.
Yeah, but he seems like a half-decent roommate, but his girlfriend Amanda seems like a bitch. She won't even let Ron invite Lip to join their study group. She's like, Ron, we already have a plan laid down. I'm like, why are you...
She's like, we already have 6 people.
Yeah, she was like, we agreed to keep it small. And Lip's like, I'm fine, actually.
I don't want to.
Don't even worry about it.
And he apparently also has a work-study job. He waits for Ron to leave, steals one of Ron's beers out of the fridge that says, do not take my beers, Ron. So he steals one of Ron's beers, and then Lip starts smoking and studying in his room.
But Ron wouldn't have even cared, because what it was Amanda stocked up that fridge and wrote, hands off, Ron only.
Yeah.
So Ron would have definitely just been like, yeah, dude, go ahead, we're roommates, whatever, just like...
And Amanda would be like, I didn't buy that for you.
Yeah, and Amanda's like... Because then later, obviously, when things change, like, it's lipstick on the fridge instead.
So at home, Carl, he eats some of the dip that Sheila brought over and makes a face and hates it and spits it back in.
It's weird because he, there's, a weird, tomato decoration on top. He, picks up the tomato, takes a scoop, eats it, then spits it back, and then puts the tomato right back on top.
Yes, he does.
Well, because he's like, I don't want anybody to know that I touched it.
I don't want anyone to know. Also, it looked disgusting. Do you remember what she said it was? Was it, artichoke dip or something?
I think it's jalapeno guacamole kind of thing.
It did not look good.
Something with mayo in it, for sure.
That was so much dip, too. It was a thick bowl of dip.
And Mike comes over to pick up Fiona for the game, and he sees Carl watching Saw, and Carl's sitting on the couch, and Carl asks Mike, he's like, hey, is Mike your real name? You ever stolen a car? You ever burned your blood-soaked clothes in the front yard? Somebody misses Jimmy.
I hate Saw, by the way, Lena.
Oh my god, I love Saw. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. I just need 5, 7, 8, 9.
I traumatized myself with those movies when I would channel flip at the ripe age of 10, and it would be on Spike or Sci-Fi. I saw the one part with the guy and the conveyor belt of pigs, and he was chained to the bottom.
Oh my god, that one's so good. That's Saw 3.
Terrified, and I've never watched a single one since.
Fucking Jeff. Literally, this guy, they were like, okay, all you need to do is forgive people who had a hand, because his son died in a hit and run, drunk driver. He's like, you just need to forgive people who had a hand in not letting your dead son get justice. And he can't do it. And it's like, oh my god, this is literally life or death. You are on the verge of death, and you can't just pretend to be nice for 1 second.
It terrified me.
Fucking
I
Jeff.
hate Saw.
I've never seen the Saw movies.
Oh, I don't think you would like them, Amanda. I don't think you would like them.
Oh, well, they're very big on, gore. Once you get past the gore part of it, then it's
I think the lore is very interesting. I've watched plenty of lore videos on it, but I cannot watch
the lore is so
gore.
good. Well, it's just, yeah, I mean, once you can get past, the gore and actually pay attention to, the story.
I don't understandable why Carl, the man he is, can watch those movies.
He loves it. He loves it, of course. He's like, oh, torture porn? For sure.
But even Mike is like, are you, like, allowed to be watching those? And Carl's
Yeah,
like...
doesn't he say, like, he was like, wow, so much for Sunday cartoons or something when he walks in?
And Fiona comes downstairs, all her, like, happy, dating, peppy girl self. And she's like, okay, Carl, don't set the house on fire, ha ha ha. But she turns around when Mike can't see her and looks at Carl and be like, don't set the
It's
house
funny
on fire.
because I remember that she does that line, but Carl's not looking at her, so she does it to no one. Carl's just watching the TV. Carl's watching the TV, and then Mike's facing away from her, and she, like, turns on and Mike, like, mouth like, I'm not kidding, but Carl's not looking at her. I'm like, girl, you're doing that to no one.
Maybe she just assumed that he was.
And then we're at Holly's house. It's no longer Dove Cameron, it's a new girl.
New girl.
We're at Holly's house, where Debbie and Holly are auctioning off their virginity on a website, and their other friend is sitting there, very pregnant.
Okay, if they weren't, like, so young, though, such a girl boss move.
Yeah.
Because they can literally do it over and over and over again and just lie.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what Holly's doing, is she's like, yeah, I'm not a virgin, but, like, this guy's willing to pay, like, $200. I mean, it's prostitution.
Yeah.
Yes, it's prostitution. But if they were older...
If they were 18, I wouldn't care, but these are children.
If they were older, I would be like, yes, take advantage of those men. Like, yes. Debbie's is so funny, because it's, like, Holly's, like, sexy picture of her, and then Debbie's got, like, the black bar over her eyes, so you can't use facial recognition.
She's like, any bids on me yet? She's like, no. She was like... You set your fucking top bid at $1 million. Of course no one's bidding on you.
And she's like, you can only sell it once. And it's like, that's not true. It's a lie. You can sell it as many times as you want.
Girl boss.
It's a concept.
As long as you are 18.
So true.
Oh, God, yeah.
Holly and Debbie, don't do this.
Yeah, like, if they were college aged, this would be a funny storyline. But since they're literal children, it's just disturbing.
I feel like it's supposed to be upsetting, I think.
Yeah.
This whole entire thing.
This is Debbie's downfall. Debbie sucks from here on out. Also, John Wells wrote to just, like, 12, 13-year-old girls selling their virginity. And John Wells saw nothing wrong with that storyline that he wrote in, and just saying, John Wells, you suck. At the Gallagher house, someone is knocking on the door, and Carl's like, door, until he realizes no one else is home. He's the one that's home.
His voice is so deep, he's like, door!
His voice has dropped significantly between seasons 3 and 4. So Tony the cop has brought Frank home and dumps him in Ian's bed, and Tony's like, are you the only one home? Carl's like, yeah. So Tony's like, well, good luck with that, and just drops Frank and leaves. Just gets out of the house, and then goodbye, Tony.
Well, I feel he's gonna need a shower or something, and then he just, like, leaves.
Like, because Frank is filthy.
He's like literally black, like he's covered in dirt. Like, man's not showered. Also, a week's worth of dirt? I don't think so.
Yeah, right?
That's literally a month.
So to get around actually having to shoot a stadium scene, which would have been expensive and complicated, the show decided we're going to see tailgating. Fiona is tailgating with Mike's family.
Hell yeah. Honestly, loophole, so smart of them.
They're tailgating, they're eating the dip that Sheila brought. You see a guy take a chip from the center of the thing where we saw Carl spit the dip back up, and a guy takes a chip and eats it. He's like, this is delicious. And Mike's family starts telling Fiona embarrassing stories about Mike from when he was a teenager and why they call him the Stick, but we never actually hear the end of the story because Mike is like, okay, that's enough of that, and he pulls Fiona into a game.
I can never think of a tailgating scene besides the fucking scene in Sunny when it's like Charlie and Frank on acid and they're just in the trash can spitting in circles the entire time.
Oh yeah, Frank's like, and he thinks he's stuck in the bathroom, and then Charlie's in the Green Man
Yeah.
suit, and somebody gets shot. One of the McPoyle brothers gets shot at the end.
That whenever I think of a
And-
tailgating anything, that's exactly what my head goes to.
But in this scene, Mike and Fiona, they're really cute together. Like, their chemistry...
They're so cute. It literally, out of every man they've had Fiona with, like, he's a little under Jimmy, but he's up there.
I like Mike a lot.
Yeah.
I've got no complaints about Mike.
No, literally not a single complaint about Mike at all. And that should say something.
Right? At the Gallagher house, Sheila is in the downstairs bathroom scrubbing the floor of the downstairs bathroom, and Carl comes to her for help with Frank. And they like just sort of look at him in the bed, and Sheila's like, "Oh, Frank."
I love that shot. It's just like them standing over Frank, and Sheila's like, he smells.
She yells at him. She's like, "You're filthy! You're filthy!" They drag Frank out of the bed with like the blanket, and she suggests even just putting a skateboard underneath him to like use it to roll him into the bathroom. So they dump him in the tub, and they just kind of start throwing the water over. They give him 3 baths because he's filthy. And then back over to Debbie and her horrible, horrible friends trolling for guys in the bowling alley arcade.
The bowling alley arcade.
So it's Debbie, Holly, and their pregnant friend, and Liam. Debbie's got Liam with her. And so Holly's like, we gotta throw a little chum in the water. So they go over to play Dance Dance Revolution to get the boys' attention. And Holly, like, because there's 2 guys across the room that they're, like, eyeing. And those guys, they do get their attention. And Holly pulls them up, one of them up to dance with her. And that's when we meet Maddie.
I love you, Maddie.
Debbie's next
I
victim.
love you, Maddie.
No, you don't. He's evil.
He is evil, but then I feel bad for him in the end.
I understand that Debbie, like, whatever, like, what Debbie does to him, but it's like, dude, why are you hanging out with this little girl?
Yeah, like, I want to have that conversation of how old...
And why would you lie to her and be like, well, when you're 16, we can have sex? Like, that's creepy and weird. You're grooming her.
Yeah.
Well, how old is he? He's 19, right?
He's 20.
He's 20. Yeah,
You're
so, like,
20?
20?
realistically, how old does he think that these girls are? I could see Holly
Right?
passing for 16 or 17.
Well, because also canonically, like, in the show, Holly's, like, a couple years older because she got held back.
Yeah.
So, like, I can see Holly passing for 16 or 17.
Not Debbie!
No, not Debbie.
Because realistically, Emma was... Wait...
She was playing the same age.
She was 13 because she's like she's a year older than me.
Yeah, so like I don't know how old he thought that she was. Like realistically, I don't know.
Like there's no way. Like the oldest I probably would have put her at was like 14.
But like just a hint, if you're looking at a person and going, man, I wonder how old they are. They're too young. It doesn't matter at that point. Yeah. The way this episode is edited is like really jumpy. Like it's easily my least favorite episode of the whole season. Even though this is a good season, this episode kind of bugged me.
Yeah.
I think it sets up a lot of good storylines though.
I think it's just catching us up to speed what everyone's been up to. That's basically all it's used for.
Yeah, and so it's kind of hard to like smoothly transition, especially because now it's like the family's not really interacting with each other. Like they don't really have a choice.
So back at the house, Sheila and Carl stare down at Frank, and like the bathwater is like black and draining into the thing. And Carl's like, should we give him another bath? And she's like, we've given him 3. And Frank is still unconscious in the tub.
And we're out of soap.
They've been using like dish soap or something.
She holds up the soap bottle. Yeah, they were using dish soap. She's just like, we're out of soap.
And then we're back at school, and Lip is at work in the dining hall dealing with bitchy college students and bussing tables. And he, of course, already made friends with the kitchen staff co-workers, and he even tries to, he's trying to make friends. He's like, hey, dude, do you want to hang out after work? I have good weed. We can just smoke a joint and chill.
Me and Lip, and Lip with the kitchen staff. I love the kitchen staff at my work. They're my favorite.
And the guy is friendly and nice and likes Lip, but he's like, no, sorry, I got a wife and kids. I gotta get home. Because this guy must be a little older than him. Yeah, so Lip is trying to make friends, and he's like, going to work at school, and he's like kind of friendly with his roommate, and he's like doing okay, I guess. But like, you can tell there's like some not goodness happening there. Fiona gets home from the football game. Carl is sitting on the porch, and he tells her, Frank is back. And she immediately...
She's like, what? And he's just like so deadpan. She's like, what?
We cut upstairs to like a similar shot that we saw of Sheila and Carl. Now it's Fiona and Carl. And she's going, no, he has to leave. No, he has to get the fuck out. And she even sees track marks on his arm. And she's like, no, he has to go. But Carl puts his foot down.
Yeah, he like his little raspy puberty voice.
It's like, no.
We've now seen through the last season, Carl and Frank have that like bond. They have that little connection.
Maybe he feels like he owes him a little bit because Frank took the fall for that.
Yeah.
For the
and
robbery.
Then, are we at the point where Carl still believes? I think he had cancer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we never see him learn
Yeah.
otherwise. So it's like, honestly, he might still think that.
Yeah. Fiona's like, you know what? Fine, but he's your responsibility. If he makes a mess on the carpet, you got to clean it up. He's your puppy. I'm like, that's fair. If Carl says no, we can't kick him out, Fiona going like, okay, then you're responsible for him.
That's honestly valid. Like, fucking
Yeah,
she's not gonna
I think
fucking take care of him.
That's
He
fair.
vouched for him, his responsibility.
Back at the bowling alley, Maddie asks if Liam belongs to Debbie. She's like, oh, is he yours? And she's like, oh, no, he's my little brother. And he's like, oh, okay, I thought he was yours. So he thinks she's old enough to have a 2-year-old.
But that could mean that she's like 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
15, 16. Still not old enough for a 20-year-old. But he offers to give her a ride home. In Lip's dorm, Amanda and Rob are having sex in the next bed over. Like, it's nighttime. Lip is in bed. And Amanda and Rob are having sex in the bed next to you. Like, that's not cool. If you're in a room where it's 2 beds in a room with you and your roommate, you wait till your roommate is gone, or you go to the girlfriend's place. Like, what the fuck?
Well, it's also like in general, like, don't you feel silly?
It's common courtesy. Like, I personally would never feel comfortable.
Like, don't you feel embarrassed having sex right next to this other person?
An unwilling participant.
Unless that's like a thing for them.
An
but it's like,
unwilling participant that you're like, now you have to watch and listen to
Yeah.
this. Not good luck.
yeah, don't you feel silly?
And they're, like, trying to be all cute and quiet about it. And they're, like, whispering.
And like, doesn't he use like, just fucking put it in her already? And then they start to like giggle more.
It's so fucked up.
Literally, it's like he doesn't even have headphones in. He's not even asleep.
Right?
Like, it's still fucked up like that, but it's like, oh my god, he's literally awake right next to you. Like, he's just watching this. You're letting him be cucked. Like you're cuckolding him.
And so Fiona at the house gets ready for bed, and she starts like flirty texting with Mike, and she goes to try to like check in on Debbie, but Debbie's door is locked because Debbie is also awake flirty texting with Maddie.
Also, I love the upgrade of just how they used to have to share a phone and now everyone has their own phone.
Right?
I can't remember. They're talking about music or something, and it's like a band that I recognize. He says something
Oh,
about
he asked if she likes One Direction, and she said Marina and the Diamonds.
Yeah.
And then she asked
Oh,
who
yeah.
he likes, and he says 9 Inch Nails.
9 Inch Nails. Oh my god, he
my
would like
fucking
9 Inch
God.
Nails.
Yeah. And he texts like a terrible teenage boy, like how they all text. The like,
Well, he is a terrible teenage boy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, Maddie is texting like a teenage boy does with Debbie, and she's easily impressed because she's 13, apparently now. She's just older now. And then Fiona and Mike are flirty texting, but apparently Mike is very good at it. She's like, oh, dirty boy.
He would be. He would be.
He's like that
He's so
clean cut
cute.
little boy who can, but that's also like dirty,
But he's
dirty.
freaky.
Yeah.
He would be. No, but he's not freaky, and that's why Fiona was like, I'm bored.
But yeah, the next morning, Fiona wakes Carl up for school, and he's got a stain on his pants from a wet dream. And Frank tells Carl to start masturbating a few times a day to avoid waking up with a wet dream. And Carl doesn't know what masturbating is, and Frank has to explain it.
Which is kind of the most interesting thing that the show has said. And I'm like,
No, he explains it, and then Carl goes,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
jacking off.
Oh, yeah.
He's just never heard that term.
And then Frank says, just if you masturbate in the shower, don't get it on the washcloths, because that will get your sisters pregnant. That's not how that works. It's like, that's how incest babies are born.
I feel like he's just like, don't do it on the washcloth because that's gross. But he's like, I know Carl won't fucking believe that, so it'll get them pregnant.
Over in Kevin V's bed, Kev wakes up hard because he's a grown man and tries to start a little something with V, but she's like, no, baby, I got nutsack stomach. And she feels so sick that she gets up and starts puking. And he's a good husband. He's like, do you want me to get you something? Do you want tea? Do you want ginger ale? You want water or something? And she's like, yeah, honey, go get me tea. But then we go inside of the bathroom and we see her start to think. We see math going on in her brain. And then she takes a pregnancy test and whoops, Veronica's pregnant.
she's preggos.
Fiona gives the kids breakfast and Carl asks, he's like, oh, Debbie, Frank is here. Do you want to go say hi? She's like, no, I really don't. And she just does. Remember Daddy's girl, Debbie? She's like, I don't fucking care that he's here, actually.
Yeah, but it was the incident with the school project when
Mhm.
she beat the shit out of him that she was like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm done with him.
With her soap bag.
Yeah.
And then Fiona's like, oh, no bagged school lunch today. You all get $5 for lunch. We're creeping up on the poverty line.
And then she's like, 4 if you want, like, fucking if you want a drink. And she's like, here you go. And then Carl's like 5 if you want chips, and she's like, go without the chips.
Oh yeah, she's like more like 7 if you want chips. Yeah.
And Sheila comes over again. She's like, today I'm going to tackle the upstairs bathroom. And Fiona asks, do we have to padlock Frank in the room for the day? But Carl's like, Frank can't get out of bed. Fiona says, well, too fucking bad. Padlock him in the room anyway. Here's a bucket. Don't forget to clean it out when you get home.
And she's right.
And then at the alibi, we have Mickey in the sad sweater. He's cracking an egg into his beer and bitching about how little Svetlana is getting paid. He puts
It's a breakfast beer. It's a breakfast beer.
He puts an egg and Tabasco sauce in his beer.
I hate it.
Yeah, have you never heard of people doing that before? It's something that like legit alcoholics do.
I've heard it. They do it for Billy. They used to do it for Billy in sometimes. But it's gross, and I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, it is gross, but it's like a breakfast beer. But he's like, I want mine spicy.
He's in his little sad sweater, and he's like,
Oh, that little zip-up sweater.
he's like, I don't even think she's making minimum wage. And he's our little sex worker union leader. I love him. And then while Kev is a little bit distracted, Mickey tries to offhandedly go, hey, you heard from Gallagher? And Kev's like, Frank? He's like, no, not fucking Frank. The other one. The redhead. Like, won't even say his name.
I love he's so casual. He's like, the redhead.
And Kev says, no, what do you owe, your money or something? And then we, like, settle on Mickey's face as he, like, takes in that nobody has heard from Ian, and he's all sad, and, like, what Noel can do with a facial expression in this season, too, like, is...
phenomenal.
He's an artist. And if it's been a week...
Man's is down bad.
He is down bad.
Dude, he's down so bad.
It's been 1 week since Ian said he was running away to the army, and Mickey is like, where is he? Anybody heard from him? Anybody know what's up with Ian?
He's like, I really miss him though. Just saying.
Where is he? He owes me money.
And then Kev gets a phone call that Stan, the guy who owns the bar, is sick, and Kev needs to go to the home that he and Veronica had dumped him in a few seasons ago. He needs to go and see Stan in the home. And in that, at the doctor's office, the Gilmore Girls to Shameless pipeline still wide open with Gypsy, the obstetrician. At the doctor's office, V is asking, how the hell is it possible that I'm pregnant right now? The doctor's like, you had a 99.9% chance of not getting pregnant, and, well... the 0.1% won, and now you're pregnant. Isn't it good news? But, like, is it?
Yeah, is it?
Like, Veronica doesn't seem to know if it's good news.
Well, it's also like, doesn't that make that like a super high risk pregnancy?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you gotta be real careful with it.
Yeah. And then Fiona drops Liam off at her work's daycare because she's going to daycare at her job. And there is a rose waiting for her on her desk. And her gay coworker is like, hey, everybody knows about you and Mike now. We saw you at the football game. Everybody here knows.
It was like Kiss Cam or something.
You were on the Kiss Cam. And Fiona's manager comes over and she's like, congratulations, you've been here 3 months, so now your benefits are kicking in. Does that include her temp time?
Yeah.
Is that what the 3 months is?
Yeah, probably.
But, like, if she was a temp, she wouldn't have been getting base pay either, so I don't think it would have qualified because she wouldn't have been on that type of payroll for an actual job.
She's been there, if they're counting from the time as a temp, I think she was there for 2 months as a temp. So...
it's been a month!
It's been a month! It's been a month!
Has it, though?
I am choosing to believe. I want to believe.
We keep saying time isn't real, and yet it's the pregnancies too. It's really the pregnancies that make me angry. So all of Fiona's benefits are kicking in, and she's got to make a decision on a 401k plan, and her manager tries to talk about what the 401k plan is, and honestly, it is gibberish. It makes no sense whatsoever to me.
She gives her a fat ass binder, and I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to start.
And meanwhile, Lip got back a bad grade on a paper and asks why, and the TA is honestly not being helpful. If someone comes to you and they're like, why did I get a bad grade?
Foreshadowing.
But if you went up to a TA and went, hi, what was the problem with my paper? And the TA just didn't tell you what the problem with the paper was, that's not helpful.
Doesn't he literally just go, it sucked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lip is like, what? And he's like, you were writing like you didn't really care. And he's like, I don't really care. This is a freshman English class.
Yeah.
I did. He's like, I did with the assignment I asked for. And he's like, but it didn't seem like you really tried. And it's like, oh my God, can you just give him a B and move on?
Yeah. And the guy asked why Lip even took this class. And Lip's like, it was the only class that was available after noon. And again, time gripe. Like, and the guy's like, you have another week of ad drop if you want to drop this class, which is bullshit. There is no college where you've started a class, gotten an assignment, written the assignment, turned the assignment in, gotten a grade back, and you're still within the ad drop period. Ad drop ends so quickly because colleges don't actually want to give you a chance to get into the classes that you need and or want so that you stay there longer and pay them more money. Like, that's just not how ad drop works. I was watching Gilmore Girls too, and it bothered me in that too. They're like, well, you still have a week left of ad drop. I'm like, ad drop lasts 2 weeks max.
That's insane.
It bothers me. Like, how long does your ad drop period last, Lena?
I don't know. 2 weeks, maybe. I mean, I switched around my schedule like 3 times, but classes haven't even started yet. They start in a week. But it is like, I know it does like, it is like a week or 2. But I mean, again, it goes back to the time frame where it's like, if it's been a week and Lip just started his winter semester of college, then theoretically it would still be within ad drop time. However, how did he get an assignment and then return it? Like, it's
because then that would mean he was on like last semester's like class roll, but then new classes are starting.
Either that or, well, because classes are on a semester basis, so it's like either that or it's like he had an assignment that was due the first day or something like that. Like, it just, none of it makes sense.
None of it makes sense at all. So Kev goes to see Stan in the home, and Stan is dead. Stan is dead.
He goes, what the fuck, man? He's cold.
And the guy's like, oh yeah, we're not actually allowed to tell people over the phone that someone's dead, so we usually say they're sick until you get here.
He says, like, the overnight guy didn't show up for work, so they found him, like, that night or whatever.
So he's been dead, like, for a while. Poor Stan. And then Sheila is at the Gallagher house cleaning the upstairs bathroom, and Carl comes home to check on Frank. He's like, you heard anything from him today? And Sheila's like, no, not a peep. Carl brought home a butt funnel because Frank asked Carl for some supplies.
The way you said that.
He brought home a butt funnel to help Frank drink without getting sick, because Frank can't take a sip of booze without spitting up blood or puking, like,
because he has ulcers in his
he's got ulcers
in his throat and his stomach.
So, like, Carl explains it all to him, and Frank's like, okay, here are the other things you need to get for me. And then Sheila creeps into the room and sort of stands there, and they're just, like, awkward with each other.
Well, because it is weird, because it's like, we did used to be in a relationship, and now I'm, like, all vulnerable and weak-looking, and you're just like, I'm out here.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of weird.
It's very weird. Debbie, meanwhile, is meeting up with Maddie. She, like, walks up near him, sees him, pulls off into a storefront, and changes into, like, heels and fixes her hair and puts on lip gloss because she's trying to look older than she is, but still not believably old enough for a 20-year-old to be dating.
She's, like, stumbling in those heels.
She cannot walk.
Yeah, she can't even walk.
And then we're back at the Gallagher house. V tells Fiona that she's pregnant. And V's like, so my mom has to get an abortion. Baby, that ship sailed. Like, it's not...
It's too late. Yeah.
It's not... You're past the first trimester. It's not an option now.
Well, and then she's like, no. And then Veronica's like, okay, give it up for adoption then.
Yeah. And Fiona's... Because she's like, she'll never be able to look at that kid and not feel resentful when she now has her own little kid. And... it's a whole complicated mess. And Fiona says she and Mike are still sexting, and she's nervous about, like, actually sleeping with him because he's her boss. But they have, like, exchanged hand jobs. So V's like, the ship is sailed. Like, what are you waiting for at this point? And V's like, go to Mike. I will hang out and watch the kids. I need the practice now. And Fiona's like, yeah, ×2. And then Sheila comes down and says, all right, I'm gonna leave, but tomorrow I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna start cleaning this kitchen. It may take a few days, but I will make this kitchen my bitch.
I love her.
Yeah, baby.
And V's like, what is up with that? And Fiona's like, she's lonely. She's cleaning. There's no harm in letting her hang around. And Fiona's like, are you gonna tell Kev about the baby? And V's like, I'm gonna wait a little bit just in case something happens to this kid because, like, maybe I'll miscarry. Like, V isn't certain that it's gonna stick, so she doesn't want to get Kev's hopes up.
Well, yeah, I would agree because it's like, it is a super high-risk pregnancy. There's a big chance that she'll miscarry.
Yeah.
I feel like at least waiting, like, a couple days, like, okay, like, don't get too crazy about it, because it is high risk. But I'm pregnant.
Yeah. And Fiona says she doesn't think it's fair to keep it from him. I'm like, I think it's okay if she keeps it for herself for a little while. Like,
yeah, just to get a good idea of it. Like, she just found out.
Also, just
Yeah.
to see if, like, everything's going okay.
Upstairs, Carl is funneling boxed wine into Frank's ass, which is okay. And then at school, Lip gets caught up in a stupid fucking, like, flash mob, but it's not like a dance.
That shot is so cool, though.
It is good.
Well, it's like, because it's supposed to represent how isolated Lip feels from the rest of the college, like how he can't seem to fit in.
Yeah.
Because somebody even Ron tells him about it earlier. He's like, oh, we're all doing this flash mob. Like,
Yeah, he's like, dude, flash mob later today in the courtyard.
he's like, we're all gonna freeze for 60 seconds. And then, like, Lip, like, just doesn't, he either refuses to take part or he doesn't know what's going on.
He's just like, okay.
But it's like, either way, it's like so representative of how he just, like, does not fit in
It's
there.
such a cool shot.
It is a really good shot because it starts on just Lip and it pulls out to see the whole courtyard of people just standing still.
Because everyone's, like, phone chime goes off for the alarm, and then as it's pulling away, it's just like everyone is frozen. Because they do the shot twice.
Yeah.
They do it separately too. There's two separate flash mobs. There's one later in the season too.
But like he like weaves between. There's even a guy that like pretended like he was throwing a frisbee, but it's clearly like on a wire.
Yeah.
There's like a stick on it or something. Yeah.
And Lip like goes around him pointedly. Like, it's a good shot. It is a really good shot. And then Mandy is at home sitting in her room in the dark looking at pictures of her and Lip on her phone. But then her boyfriend Kenyatta pulls her back into bed and Mickey walks by. He's like, no one wants to see that. And he slams the door.
The song in this scene is Canyons by Paucity.
Fucking Canyons, man.
Lena, do you remember the video I sent you of this scene called Mickey Milkovich Comedian? And it's this entire scene, but there's a laugh track behind it.
Oh my god. Yes.
That is evil.
It literally is the
it was a little brilliant.
evilest, saddest thing I've ever watched, but I'm sorry, the timing of the laugh tracks in this scene are just so good, but this
They were
scene
too
literally
good.
hurts my soul so much.
Yeah, because he goes into the picture. He goes into the bathroom, which is now, again, no longer in his
It's in the hallway.
time and the interior of the Milkovich house. Nothing makes sense. He goes into the bathroom and he like pulls a magazine from a stack next to the toilet and he pulls out a picture of Ian from one of the magazines. And he like, it's all crinkled and he takes a second to look at it and he's all sad.
I'm sorry, that's the worst photo of Ian I've ever seen.
It's a bad picture.
It was kind of, well, because it's the promo. It's one of Ian's promo photos for season 4, and they had him wear a hat in the promo because his hair was different.
Yeah.
And he's just like flipping over the camera, like, but it looks like such a fake photo. Like, it just looks
The brightness is so high on it. Like, it's so bright.
Yeah, but it is like, if you look up like Shameless season 4 promo photos and they have like the specific character stills, like that's Ian's photo of him flipping off the camera with the hat on. And it's like, oh my god, it's so ugly.
But yeah, like Mickey is like breathing heavy and like clearly sad and he sticks the picture in the mirror and he stares at it and then he starts to try to jerk off like looking at Ian, but he gets so angry and frustrated and sad that he just punches the glass and breaks it and like his hand starts bleeding and he's just so sad.
He's down so bad.
He's down so bad.
He's down so bad.
Svetlana knocks on the door and bothers him and he like hides the picture. He doesn't hide it well. He should hide it better. He hides the picture again.
He just throws it back in the magazine and throws the magazine back in the basket.
And Svetlana comes in and sees the broken glass and the mess. And, like, let us never forget that she knows.
Yeah, literally.
Like, she knows.
I'm so mad that Mickey Milkovich Comedian is not on YouTube anymore because it was a couple different Mickey scenes that were not funny scenes that people just added a laugh track to. But it was kind of funny.
I feel like Svetlana like wanted to convince herself that she was kind of getting through to him.
Yeah. She was also just happy that he wasn't, like, bad to her. So she was, like, trying to make the best of the situation.
But then she obviously goes into panic mode when Ian comes back into the picture because she's like, you're fucking up my chance at survival right now.
Yeah.
Like, and also subsequently fucking up his chance at survival.
Yeah.
Like, leave us alone. But, like, obviously she doesn't know the full picture, but she does get kind of evil about it.
I have very conflicting feelings about Svetlana. Because, yeah, she's just trying to live. She's just trying to survive. But, like, some of the stuff she does is evil.
She is very sexy, though, so...
But, like, so it's very sad over at the Milkovich house right now. Also very sad, Sheila making herself a dinner to sit down and eat alone.
This is so sad. She makes herself such a nice little meal and she sits down so alone. She has a candle lit.
That's me when my roommates go out. When my roommates go out and I'm just the only one making dinner and I'm like sitting down at the table by myself like, okay, just me.
And then over at Mike's place, Fiona is getting laid and like they're good together. Like he tells her thank you after sex.
He's so cute.
And then he's like, do you need anything? Do you need me to like touch you or anything? She's like, no, I'm good. So like, is she head over heels for the guy?
Because she didn't finish or whatever.
Yeah, I think she did. I think she was just quiet about it. It wasn't like crazy wild Jimmy sex.
I think she did, but yeah. I feel like Fiona has that reputation of like having multiple orgasms though. So I'm like,
yeah, she could go again if she wanted to.
I think she really was fine. Like she wasn't like best sex of my life, but like the first time with another person.
Oh yeah, no, she's like, I know the premise now.
It's kind of cute that he was like, thank you. It's like, why did you say that?
Yeah, but it's like, it's not Fiona and Jimmy in the kitchen knocking over dishes like heavy hot sex. Like,
yeah, but that's because that was more like lust than anything else, I think.
So, like, she's like, he gets up to get snacks or whatever when they're done, and she's laying there, and she's, like, happy. She's like, this is fine. This is great.
Doesn't he go to get, like, champagne or something?
Yeah.
To celebrate her 3 months at the company.
Yeah. And, like, so it's cute. Like, they have really good chemistry, and they're really cute together, and you can tell that Fiona is, like, good, but, like, she misses that adrenaline. She misses it. And then Maddie brings Debbie home from their dinner date. And they admit that they like each other. And yeah. And they're sitting in the car talking, and Kev walks up and sees them and like he like stares them down and gives them the evil
He's like
eye.
walking so slow, just like looking at Maddie, just like even like as he's like walking up the stairs, he's just like looking over his shoulder.
And Maddie's like, Is that your dad? And Demi's like, No, that's not my dad.
She's like, no, that's just like, I can't remember if she's like, that's our friend, or
yeah, I
she's
think it's just
"That's
like one of our
Yeah.
neighbors.
I wish they would have just started calling them like Uncle Kev and Aunt V, but they never did that.
But yeah, Kev goes in the house and V is like just watching TV, and Kev's like, I think I saw Debbie outside with some guy. And V just like ignores that because like what she's watching is very interesting. And then he comes in and he sits down and he tells her Stan died. And she's like really and like it's really comforting and sad. And we're back out in the car with Maddie and Debbie. She sneaks a cheek kiss and gets out of the car. And then she goes inside and just runs up the stairs. And V like snuggles up to Kev and comforts him.
Although Debbie like runs up the stairs in the heels, and like V like turns around, is just like,
So
what the
fast.
fuck was that?
She's like, what the hell? Yeah, like, why are you on the move?
So I think because Kev is hurting about Stan, V decides to keep the whole let's pretend I'm not pregnant from Kev like thing. She's like, oh fuck it, Kev, I'm pregnant. Like she just tells him, and he's so happy.
He's so excited.
He like jumps up on the couch. He's so happy.
He's immediately like, we're gonna have 2?
He's so sweet. Yeah, he's the sweetest.
He's built to be a dad. It's really cute. In Carl's room, Frank gives Carl jerk-off tips because Carl is upstairs just making the bed rock. And so Frank is in the corner of the room, like, giving Carl tips about jerking off. And it's the most fatherly advice we've ever seen him give in the whole show. Like, the most genuinely helpful fatherly advice he ever gives. And he's like, hey, could maybe not with me in the room? Sort of like Lip in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, just very awkward and weird.
And so Carl...
Also, it's like, that's your dad, dude.
And Frank asks, he's like, how many times is that today? And Carl's like, 9. Frank's like, 9.
Doesn't he say he's like, you're gonna rub all the skin off?
Because he's like, do you use any lubricant or anything? And he's like, no. And then I love the, like, and obviously, like, the cut scene is obviously the funny part, but he's like, you gotta use lube or something, son.
He's like, you're gonna get blisters or something.
And so Carl leaves to jerk off in the bathroom, and Frank pulls a beer out from under his bed and tries to drink it without getting sick. He's like, just a taste, baby. Just give me a little bit. It doesn't work, and he pukes.
Instantly.
Fiona comes home and sees him pathetic, laying in the bed, and like she softens a little bit in that moment and continues into her room, and we roll the credits, And the after credit scene is Carl bringing a Costco-sized tub of Vaseline into his room.
Who has the Costco membership?
Where did he get the Costco card?
Right?
Whose Costco card is that?
And then we get a preview for this season on Shameless. This season on Shameless, Mike tries to give Fiona a drawer, which scares her. Frank says his liver is giving out and he needs a new liver, but it'll be $150,000 for the surgery because our country is broken. So he plans to burn down Sheila's house for the insurance money, and then he also decides to break his own leg for insurance money. Fiona gets a company car and gets attacked on the road. Lip is floundering at college, gets grabbed by MPs. Fiona meets Mike's family and fucks his brother. Fiona gets arrested.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So much this season on Shameless.
They very strategically do not include Ian in this season on Shameless.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because everybody was like, oh my god, is he gonna come back? Where is he? Yeah.
The only taste we get is Lip getting grabbed by the MPs. Because why is Lip getting grabbed?
But he was in the promo photos, so it's like, of course he'll be back.
Yeah.
Of course he'll be. Don't even worry about it. Like, literally do not worry.
So what did we think of this episode?
I like this episode.
I think it's good. I think it's a good one. Is it the best this season? No. But I think it's pretty solid. Other than the whole, like, timeline issue, but it's like, okay, realistically, how do you get around that?
Yeah. I think it did the job.
They kind of fucked up by being like, it's been a week. Like, just be like, it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
That way, at least it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or just, it's been a while. All she had to say was a while.
Maybe, yeah. But then it could just be like, oh, yeah, the kid's aged. Like, sure.
It will forever anger me, the them saying any writer can make the kids any age they need to fit their...
Like, please, that makes it worse
Oh
for the
my God.
viewer.
Ugh.
Well, because it's like, yeah.
Carl says
Well,
he's
I mean, the
12
events-
in this episode.
Like this like, because even if it's about seasons, like this season, all the events take place really close to each other. Like, it's like a day by day kind of thing. So it's like, I feel like they could just been like, yep, it's like the middle of winter, it's the end of winter. Then it gives them that kind of couple months leeway.
Yeah.
But it's still not like, oh, it should be spring right now. Especially because Chicago winter, it's like, it could be snowing whenever.
Yeah. And like if fully
So.
like the age thing bothers me so much. Because last time we saw Debbie and Carl, they were like 9 and 10 or 10 and 11. And
10
now
11.
And, like, we had to see Lip graduate high school in wintertime, and then now it's also still wintertime, and now he's in college.
yeah.
Don't they even say that Lip was 18 then? Don't they even say that he's 19 now?
I think
Ian
so.
should be 18 because he's only a year
Ian
younger.
was 17 when he left.
No, Ian was 17 all of season 3. Ian is 17 most of this season.
I know, and then they say that he's 17, and then they say that he's 17 next season.
Honestly, I want what he's having.
I can't do this anymore. But then he's 18 by the time he gets arrested because he goes to Bigwood prison.
Yeah.
And
His
it's like-
birthday was sometime in season 5.
well, we know he's got a May birthday. He's a Taurus.
So
Can't help
like
being a Taurus, but
that about this episode bothered me. The way this episode was edited and like the way it was wrote, but I don't like when John Wells writes the episodes. He irks me and it bothers my soul. But it did what it had to set up the storylines that we're going to watch this season, and this is the best season of the show.
Yes, it is.
yeah.
It's the weakest episode in the best season.
It's the weakest episode because it sets everything else up.
So that makes it still a really good episode.
Yeah. And you're right, Lena, this is the beginning of them all having their own independent storylines that aren't like family-based storylines, which is a fine line that they walk between it's good and it's a detriment to the show, that they walk for the next couple of seasons. But that's it. We did it. Look at us.
We did it! Season 4, baby!
I know, we're so good.
We did the first episode. Hey, look at us.
Did it.
Yay.
I'm so proud of us.
Yes. Making progress.
If you guys want to follow the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on all your podcast streaming services. You can follow the show at luckwehadpod on Instagram, at luckwehadpod on Twitter. You can email us luckwehadpod@gmail.com. Evan and Lena, where can they find you?
You guys can go ahead and find me on Instagram at IWannaDie4000, or if you can find me on TikTok at unevent. And Lena, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kojak, COJACKK. You can find me on Twitter at DursHomeVic, but the L
is an I. And Amanda, where can they find you?
You can find me at abnormalamanda on Twitter, at abnormalamanda18 on Instagram, at abnormalamanda_18 on TikTok. You can follow my other podcast at Skip to the Gay Parts on Instagram, and follow Skip to the Gay Parts wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would like one of the stickers of this show, of our logo, hit up our Instagram or Evan's DMs, and he will get a sticker to you.
I will send you a sticker.
And we are very, very, very excited to get into season 4, and, you know, better episodes than this one.
Yes.
But we're so fucking into it. But until we get to the rest of season 4, we bid you adieu for now. Let's get out of here.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Goodbye.
Bye.